Hi everyone, we're going to be taking a look at another set of puzzles from Hexagony, this time the cave puzzles. Uh, the cave example, just like with Akari, I originally made this for Puzzle Zodiac. But what are the rules of a cave puzzle? Well, they're a bit complicated. Basically, you shade cells. All shaded cells have to be able to reach the edge of the grid, and all of the unshaded cells must be connected. Clues can't be shaded and give the total number of cells that they can see until the edge of the grid, or a shaded cell. So this too, we're going to start by just marking all of the cells as clues as unshaded. So this too currently sees 1. If I were to shade all of those, it would see 1. So now it would see 2. Now it would see 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So how do you begin solving a cave puzzle? Well, we can start with this 8. It must see 8 cells, and there's only 11 available for it to see. So we can start by trying to see how much it can see vertically. Well, its cap is 3, and with the additional 5 from the horizontal, then it actually must see all of those cells, which, to avoid overloading other clues, we get this, with this 3. This 6 now must see up at least 1 in order to be able to actually reach 6 seen cells. This 5 will see the remainder, and this shaded cell must go up here in order to escape. It has to get to the edge of the grid. So now, if we look at this 4, well, we can actually do something with this 4. It cannot take both of these 2 cells without overloading the 2. So it must take here, at the very least. Can it go farther and take the 7? No, that would overload the 7. So the 6 goes, the 2 goes, and this is how you solve the cave. However, we're going to backtrack a little bit, because there's a useful trick to a cave puzzle. We're going to backtrack to right here. Without considering what this clue is, say it was a 4 clue instead of a 5 clue, we would actually be able to determine it without any additional progress. Or even without, say all of this doesn't hold and we only have this. We can actually determine a lot. Why? Well, all the shaded cells have to connect to the edge of the grid and the unshaded cells are connected. This means if you consider the outside of the grid fully shaded, like so, then you can actually use logic similar to yin-yang, where this would be a contradiction instantly. Just think about it. No matter how the unshaded cells are connected, the shaded cell in the middle gets blocked. So if we give it a path, it has to break the connection. So an unwritten rule of a cave puzzle is that there cannot be a checkerboard pattern. Anytime you have a checkerboard, something has gone wrong. And that also means that if you get a partial checkerboard, it must be finished. So we're going to have to use that in order to get through this 10-pointer. I actually nicknamed this puzzle Odd One Out. And the reason for that is it's a square puzzle, but it looks like a hexagon. And there's this one clue in the corner that's just not quite themed with the rest. So again, let's use those same techniques that we used in the first puzzle. We're going to consider the entire outside of the grid shaded, because, it is. And this is going to be actually a useful thing to keep in mind. I'm not actually, am I able to shade below? No, I don't seem to be able to shade below, but that's fine. So we can start with this 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can do the same with this 9. Must see at least 3 out, because can see at most 6 due to this clue. This 9 can see at most 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 6 can't reach across, so it's going to have to reach down and actually touch the 9. This 8, 1, 2, 3. This 6 can't reach all the way over, so it goes up 1. This 9 can't reach all the way, so it's going to go down 1. And this 9 sees at most 7, 8, 9. So we can pretty easily get to a state that looks like this. And this is where the checkerboard rule comes into play, or I should say unspoken rule. Well, it could. This 3 has to get both of those shaded. Checkerboard avoidance does that. Now, another thing that you can do with cave clues that see each other directly is that regardless of how big they are, the difference matters for how much they see relative to each other on the unshared cells. So 9 is 3 more than 6. So it's going to see 3 more in this direction than the 6. All right, so let's just put in the follow-up deductions. Try and make these things connect out. This 3 is now done. Now this is where shading the outside comes in handy. If this cell were to be unshaded, there would actually be no way to get the shaded cells out without breaking connectivity. So it must be shaded. This 9 is now satisfied. This 6 can see the 9. This 3 is going to go all the way over. Avoid the checkerboard pattern. Let's see. This 9 now must see 2 more up, and in fact this means that shaded cells are going to escape like this. The 9 will see the remainder, more shaded cells having to escape. This 9 now must see exactly 9. The 8 is now also done. The 6 is now done. And you can see that this is not a terribly difficult cave puzzle. This was not meant to be a terribly difficult cave puzzle. Like, it's meant to be themed. And something has gone a little wrong here. Yes. No? Yeah, something's gone slightly wrong here. Every time I say a puzzle is easy, something goes slightly wrong. Okay, as I was talking about it, I autopiloted. All we get from this 6 is this step. And in fact, from the 9, we get this direction, which is going to, again, give us this shaded. And that's the solution. So again, sometimes you can do some error recovery just from seeing how things aren't quite going to add up, or a checkerboard pattern. And generally, this puzzle is just meant to kind of have this flow out the center and use numbers that are divisible by 3. So now let's take a look at the 25-point hexagonal cave puzzle. Again, this one's odd one out again because of the single odd digit and the fact that the grid is kind of, it's a quadrilateral made of hexagons. So, each of these 2s cannot see into their adjacent cells. And a lot of the deductions that we just used with similar amounts being seen and unseen, as well as no checkerboard, well, none of that really applies. Hexagonal cave puzzles feel very different. But they have 6 directions. So let's look at the ones that have less directions. Well, this 2 has only 2 directions it can see, but once it goes here, it has a couple options for where it can escape. And we'll find most of these edge clues do. The 2 critical places to look right now are the corners. I'm going to start with this 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, this is actually 5, sorry. 5, but note that it cannot see any farther. If it does, this 2 actually sees 3. And this is something new to a hexagonal cave puzzle. The fact that a clue can see multiple clue cells seen by another clue, just by trying to see past it. So what that means is we get this. And we'll notice that this 6 is just kind of awkwardly placed. I mean, it means that we're going to have to see this as well, as we can only see out to here. Now what that means is this 8 will see at most 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these are both unshaded, as there's no way to get to 8 unshaded cells without that, which finishes the 6. Which means we get this one. Now this sees 8. Cannot connect out through this 2, so it connects out this way. And, that's some pretty nice early progress. The 6 will have to see in both directions in order to get to enough cells, which is also going to block it off. And before we can really make too much more progress, we have to look at these 4s of all things. The fact that all 3 of these are 4s should be somewhat suspicious. Note that whichever direction this 4 sees, we don't know which yet, but it will see entirely in that direction. Which means this cell is shaded. However, if it goes this way, we get this as it tries to escape, breaking the 2. Therefore, we get all of this in order for this unshaded cell to try to connect to the rest of the puzzle. This 4, I could have done this earlier, had 1 more that it needed to get. This 4 is now again a corner, so we get an unshaded cell. Cannot see all the way to the 8, so we get another unshaded cell. This 8 now is going to be important. It sees at most 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, actually. 1, 2, 3. Because... Actually, wait a moment. Yeah, the 8 cannot see this cell ever. So the naive count would count all 4 of those cells. The slightly more sophisticated count would notice that if it takes both of these, then this 4 gets cut off by shading these 2 cells. But then the even smarter thing is that if this cell is unshaded, the puzzle is broken. And the reason for that is we'd have to shade here, unshade here, shade, unshade, and the 2 is overloaded, just in order to satisfy the 4. So in that case, we actually get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. With the 6 being satisfied, the entire bottom is now set. Now with this 2, if it sees up, then it will have to go here. And in both cases, if it goes here, it will see this cell as well. If we look at this 10 now, I believe. No, I think the next thing that we have to do is look at this 8. I don't know. Maybe it's the 10. No, it's this 8. I think this 8 is now actually pretty close to being maximized. I can see at most 4, and then 3 here, 3 here. So it sees at most 10. Or sorry, 11. Maybe it is the 10. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If my counting is correct, the 10 will see all of that. And in fact must. The 4 will then do that, which satisfies the 8. This 9 then must grab at least here. The 8 will now force this out. The 4 must go in here in order to see. And just like that, the hexagonal cave has been solved. So again, like a lot of these hexagonal puzzles that involve seeing in every direction, a lot of the difficulty comes from adjusting to just the fact that the clues see in more directions, not missing where they go. But in this case, there's actually some tricky clue interactions, like this interaction with the 4s, and this more subtle thing with seeing past the 2. I really like this puzzle. I really like this pair of puzzles. And I might try to make more hexagonal caves in the future. We'll see. Caves often a type I fall back on to make. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Until next time, later.